Good morning. So I think I'm live on Facebook. Yep. Now I'm live on Instagram. Good morning. I'm on a few minutes late. Sorry about that, guys. I was just about to get on and I need to get Snowy a snack before I started because I'm like, feed her right now and then she won't try to ask for food during the video, right? Good morning, Linda. All right, I'll wait a couple seconds for some people to jump on. I hope you guys all had a wonderful weekend. We had some family over this weekend, so I didn't get a lot of sewing done, but it's nice to have family over. Hair's all funky today. Sorry. So let's see. A few people jumping on. If you're on Facebook and you're jumping on, if you could say hi to make sure I can see comments, that'd be awesome. So this morning was so cold. It said it was only 37, but then on your phone it says 37, but feels like 31. Like it was pretty cold walking to the bus stop. Hi Lynn. Hi Carolyn. From Indiana. It's probably cold in Indiana today too, huh? It was so cold. I'm not used to that cold, and so it's like, do I just drive him to school when it's that cold, or do I walk to the bus stop? But I bundled up and I walked. My daughter liked stepping in all the frost, all the crunchy grass. Hello, Leanne and Grandma Eddie's and Cheetah. So today, oh, now you're over on the other one, Linda. It's cold in Wyoming, I bet. I know, I'm whining that it's 31 and it's probably like negative over in the Midwest, huh? In central United States. Remember when we lived in Montana for 9 months, and December was like negatives. It was always negatives. So I appreciate Washington weather. So today we are going over the finishing instructions of our Cloudy Day quilt sampler. It's the last week of the quilt along, but the quilt along group on Facebook will remain open. So keep posting your pictures. Keep posting your pictures on Instagram with the hashtag either Happy Cloud Creations or Cloudy Day QAL or Cloudy Day Quilt Sampler. I'd love to see your finished tops, even though if it takes you a while, continue to post. Continue to post. If anybody has questions during this, please let me know. I will try to remember everything that I want to go over today. I always forget to write a list of the things that I want to go over. First off, if you print off your instructions, they are free. So if you're new to my Instagram page or this Facebook group, you can download those on the latest blog post. The full-length pattern is there, and also just the finishing instructions. And then in block 1, maybe I should put that in the finishing instructions as well. Block 1 has the supplemental for Flying Geese. You can also find those all on Craftsy as well and in the Facebook group right now. I'm not sure how long they'll stay in the Facebook group. Probably keep them until the next tentative quilt along. They're not, I don't have another quilt along planned quite yet. So we will see. Morning, Tanya. So I guess first off, some people are having the issue of their blocks not being 16.5 inches. If all of your blocks are the same size, then you're golden. Even if they're 16.25, if they're 16 and 3/4, or if they're 16 and 5/8. As long as all your blocks are the same size, you're good. If some of your blocks are drastically different, I would recommend the smallest block, adding a small border like the any color border or the sashing color border, just so it evens out. Say like one block is 15 inches and the rest are 16. You could add a 1/2 inch border to the whole thing, trim it up, make sure they're all the same size. If they are just a smidge different, say all my blocks are 16.5, but one is 1/8 of an inch smaller. You can sometimes ease that block in, give it a good press, and when you're pinning it to your sashing strips, sometimes the fabric will have a little give to it, and it'll be fine. If they're like 1/2 inch difference, you may want to trim your bigger blocks so that they are all the same. You don't want to cut off your points though, so don't go crazy with the cutting. Say all your blocks are 16 3/4, and you're like, oh, but the pattern says they should be 16.5. Don't go trim them if you're going to lose all your points. If they're all the same size, you're good. So when you're cutting out your sashing strips, you want to be cutting them the length of your block. So if your block is 16 1/4, cut all of your sashing strips 16 1/4 inches wide, because that sashing strip is going to be the length of your block and then the height of your block. So if you try to sew this block to a smaller size sashing strip, it's not going to line up with your cornerstones very well. So you're going to want it to be the exact same length and height. So if some of your blocks, say your blocks are 16.5 long, 16 1/4 wide, you're going to have to measure them and make sure you attach the correct strips to the correct sides too. So we'll go into more about that. Last week, I think some people asked about squaring up your blocks. Since I don't have a ruler, because some people will have a square ruler. Let's see if I can grab mine. A square ruler that is bigger than your block. My square ruler is smaller than my block, so I don't typically use this to square it up. If your block is smaller than your square ruler, it's nice to just throw your block under it. It flattens it too, and then you can trim around the edges. What I typically do is I'll lay it on my mat and I'll measure it to make sure they're all the same, and I will just trim off the little bits that aren't making it straight. Usually, like, I don't know if I trimmed this one yet. I don't think so. I will just go from one corner to the other, and if little parts stick above this, I will trim those up just so it's a straight line. I'm pretty sure all my blocks are measuring the same, just so it's square. You could also use your square ruler in the corner to make sure, okay, yeah, it's square and it's not skewed to the side. Make sure it's square and square. Typically, if you use that 1/4 inch scant, which at the beginning of the pattern, there was instructions how to test the 1/4 inch scant. If you're using a correct 1/4 inch scant seam, all your blocks will end up 16.5 inches, because you're only taking away a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch from each piece of fabric, and it'll line up and it'll be the correct size. If you are sewing a larger seam, your blocks will end up smaller. If you're sewing a smaller seam, your blocks will end up bigger. As long as they're all consistent. That's a problem with the sampler quilt, because each block is constructed differently. So there may be more seams in one block than another. So the one with more seams, if you're doing a larger seam allowance, that block's going to end up smaller than the blocks where they have less seams, because you're just taking away a little bit extra in each of those seams. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to you guys. If you guys have questions, let me know. So we are going to square up all our blocks, make sure they're all the same size. Next, our instructions. Per instructions, we make our cornerstones. So I like to use the strip piecing method, where you sew 3 strips together, and then from those strips, we'll cut 2.5 inch wide strips from that. See? Since I went scrappy, if you're going with just the two main colors, the background fabric and your color, what is that? You'll do with the fabric strips. I am doing scrappy, and all my fabrics were 1/4 inch cuts or 1/4 yard cuts. So I just, at the end of each of those 1/4 yard cuts, I just cut strips, and I matched up the backing fabric strips, and so they're a little over 9 inches, and I'm able to get 3 of these 2.5 inch units from that. Since I want all my cornerstones to be scrappy, I think it was, I cut out, I think I needed 10 center unit ones and 20 of these. And then the 6, that'll make 15 cornerstones. And from that, the last one, I will just cut 2.5 inch squares, because I don't like cutting a bunch of 2.5 inch squares. So that's why I do the strips. Sew 3 strips together, press to your darker fabric, and then we'll cut our strips from that, 2.5 inch strips from that. And same with this one, 2 backgrounds, 1 of the print. And then we'll have the pieces we need for the cornerstone. I want to do that same Irish chain look, but since all of my blocks have different color A's, I wanted my cornerstones to be scrappy. So they'll all end up different, and then I'll lay out all my blocks and my sashing pieces to see which fits best, so they're not touching the same fabrics. Oh, sorry. Hello, Cindy. Hello, Nancy. Hello, Shannon. Morning, good morning. You didn't miss it, Cindy. Yay. Okay, so if there's any questions about the cornerstones or sashing pieces, please let me know. You want to make sure those sashing pieces are the width and the length of your blocks. I went with a 6-inch finished sashing because I wanted to give the quilt more width and height. If you're wanting a smaller quilt, you can go with